Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Student of the Gun Radio. We are again in our home studios in Biloxi, Mississippi, where today the rain is a-falling. And hey, that's what happens in the summertime in South Mississippi. Of course, across the board from me, and I always want to acknowledge him because A, he's so talented, and ladies, he's also a cute one too, is Jared. Hey, Jared, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I've got my black water coffee cup over here, and it says, train hard or don't train at all, and I completely agree with that.
Good motto.
Yep. I see you've got your kilt on over there. How's that working for you?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I've got my, I just received it last week. I've got my new Tactikilt, and because this is radio and you can't see me, I'll describe it for you. It is khaki. It is a Tactikilt, and if you have the stones to do it yourself, you can check out Tactikilt.com. Now, why would I do that? Number one, I am Scottish by birth. I'm half Scottish on my mother's side, and we know a little bit about our clan history. Our clan actually goes all the way back to Kirkcudbright, Scotland, and our great-great-great-great-grandfather arrived on the shores of these United States. Actually, they were still colonies then, in April of 1776, and almost immediately joined the Pennsylvania Riflemen and fought with Washington's army for about 1 year and 9 months. So, yes, I'm honoring my Scottish heritage, and I'm being comfortable at the same time by wearing my Tactikilt. Now, if you want to check them out, I talked to these guys. They're solid dudes. They're solid. They're a solid company, and I recommend them. Actually, my good friend John Hollister from AAC, Advanced Armament Corporation, he's the one who hipped me to Tactikilt. He's got his own Tactikilt, and he let me know about the company. But if you check them out and you decide to order one, let them know. Say, hey, we heard about you on Student of the Gun Radio, and we just wanted to check you out. Now, don't forget about our good friends, Keltec Weapons in Cocoa, Florida. They're down there building polymer and steel funky guns for you guys. Guns that fold up, guns that fold out, guns that you can put in your pocket, guns that of all shapes, manners, and sizes. 308 rifles.
According to CNN, they make cheap guns.
CNN? What in the world does CNN know about guns? CNN knows about communism. That's what CNN knows about. Now, they do make some inexpensive guns, and that's why people, they've been making inexpensive guns for a long time, the P380s and the P11s and so forth. And so when people heard they were making a shotgun and a 308 rifle, they're like, awesome, it'll be very inexpensive. Not really. But if you want a KSG, if you want an RFB, if you want a PMR30, get your name on the list today. Don't wait. Get your name on the list today because everybody in America wants them, and there's just a long waiting list. That's the way it is. Now, this is week 3 of our Crossbreed Holster Super Tuck giveaway, and it's easy as could be to register for the Super Tuck giveaway. All you got to do is go to studentofthegun.com, and on the main page there, over on the right-hand side, there's a little sign-up for our weekly newsletter. We don't spam you. We don't sell your addresses. All you have to do is sign up for it. Now, when you sign up for it, you're going to get an email, and it's going to say, do you want to be signed up? And you have to confirm that email. So you want to make sure that it's not going into your spam filter or your junk mail filter or something like that. Also, seriously, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to win free stuff from Student of the Gun, because that's what we do, because we got a lot of fantastic sponsors, a lot of good friends in the firearms industry. And all year long, we do special giveaways and contests. We give away guns and holsters and flashlights and, all kinds of cool stuff. And the way we pick our winners is we choose our winners from our list of active subscribers to the newsletter. It's really that simple. But here's the big but. If you win, if we pick your name, well, not only are we going to talk about you on the radio like we are right now, but we're going to send you an email that says, congratulations, you're the winner. Please confirm the receipt of this email so we can get a shipping address and all that good jazz, right? Well, if you've got us set up to go into your spam folder or your junk mail folder, or if you decided, I'm going to sign up for their newsletter, but I'm going to sign up and I'm going to use that email address that I never ever check. Everybody's got one of those, right? You know you do. you've got that email address that you've had for 5 years and you never check it. And you're like, oh, I don't want to get a bunch of junk, so I'm just going to sign up. And well, it really doesn't make any sense to sign up for the newsletter and use an address that you never check. Just saying. Because if we send you, and we got to be fair, we have to be fair to everybody out there. If we send you an email saying, congratulations, you're a winner, please confirm your email address or please confirm the receipt of this email, and we don't hear back from you within 48 hours, well, we're going to pick another winner. And I tell you what, last year we gave away a Chris Vector carbine package, not just the rifle itself, but the whole package with the EOTech optic and the bipod and the sling and the magazines and all that jazz. We gave one of those away. How would you feel if you were the winner and the email went to your junk folder and 48 hours later we picked somebody else? You'd feel kind of silly, wouldn't you? So if you are really serious and you want to win, make sure that you're getting the emails from us each week. We send out a newsletter that says, "Hey, this week on Student of the Gun TV, on the radio, this is the current article," all that good jazz. So it's free, it's easy, do it.
And sometimes we even give out special deals for the studentofthegungear.com store. If you want to purchase something from there, we give out exclusive deals through our subscribers.
Yeah, good point, Jared. Yeah, a lot of times we'll do, a 15% off or 20% off or a 3-day sale that says, hey, get the DVD and the book for X. That's just we like you. Now, I'm coming to the microphone today and I'm a little bit embarrassed at myself because I don't believe on the radio show yet we've talked about my good friend Mike Deddy about his book, Guns Across the Border. And I feel a little bit bad. We talked about it on the Student of the Gun homeroom. I know I mentioned it there, and it was our featured, our recommended reading. But I'm not sure if we've ever talked about it on Student of the Gun radio. So regardless, we're going to talk about it right now. Mike Deddy is a good friend of mine. Like I said, he's been a professional writer for, a couple of decades. And we both started out writing for some of the same magazines. And Mike Deddy still writes a lot for magazines, but he is an FFL holder in Arizona, and he has been for many years. And just kind of by accident, he got involved in the ATF's Operation Wide Receiver. Now, a lot of you probably don't know so much about Wide Receiver, but Wide Receiver was actually the precursor to Fast and Furious. And what do we know? Well, here's the facts. Here's the actual facts, not the spin that we're getting out of Washington, D.C. The actual fact is the ATF allowed, hundreds, if not thousands.
There was a lot just from Mike.
Just from Mike alone. And there were several FFL holders that the ATF was working with as cooperating individuals or confidential informants. What would happen is these drug cartel guys would come to them and say, hey, we want to buy 20 AKs or 20 ARs or what have you. And what the ATF told the dealers, and they told Mike, is sell them the guns, we'll track the guns, and then we'll bust them, and we'll bust this drug cartel wide open. Well, it didn't happen. And I'm not going to get into all the details, but you know who does get into all the details because he was involved with it for, 3 years? I think it was at least 3 years.
Yeah, he had them going to his house.
They had nasty cartel people in his house. It was a messed up deal. And I'm not going to spoil the ending for you, but if you want to know the real deal from somebody that not just hearsay, not just what some reporter told you, but from the person that was actually directly involved in it, you want to read Mike Deddy, and it's Detty. It's called Guns Across the Border, How and Why the U.S. Government Smuggled Guns into Mexico. Now you can go ahead, Jared.
And he's got pictures in there for you guys that don't like to read a lot.
Yeah, there's lots of color pictures, and it's a relatively easy read. It's about 250 pages, and you're going to get into it, and you're just going to shake your head. You're like, I cannot believe that this actually was going on, and here we are years later. And has anyone been punished? Has anyone been put in jail? No, we're just gonna sweep it under the rug and pretend like it didn't happen. Oh well. And then your government is going to look at you and say, you shouldn't be allowed to have guns because they're dangerous and you can't be trusted with them, and why should anyone have them? The same government, the same Department of Justice that walked AKs and ARs and guns that they knew should not be going into the hands of drug cartel members, walked them right across the border, and they were used to kill God only knows how many Mexican citizens. And we would not know about this probably right now if it wasn't for the murder of Brian Terry, the Border Patrol agent, by one of these guns that was walked across the border by the ATF under their noses. They let it happen. And then when they got caught, they tried to pretend like they didn't know what was going on. So that's I'm going to end the commercial for Mike's book right now, but the book's available online. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it, maybe, I don't know, Books A Million, whatever.
I know it's on Amazon.
Amazon, yeah. So just order it up. Read it for yourself. Don't take it from me. Be an informed student of the gun and read Mike's book.
I'll put a link up on studentofthegunradio.com so you guys can directly purchase that book.
Speaking of being a student, Jared, why don't you go ahead and tell us who our student of the week is this week?
Our student of the week is Cameron Conley, and Cameron wants to know if there is a place in home defense for body armor, and if so, what options are there for that purpose, and how is it best deployed?
Again, another excellent question from our Facebook, and if you want to be the student of the week, now remember, all you have to do is just go to Student of the Gun Facebook, put your question up there, and every week we pick questions from there to read on the air. Now, that's a good topic, and it's actually a topic that I covered about 2-3 months ago in an article that I wrote for Shooting Illustrated magazine, and it was all about citizen armor or citizen's body armor. And the first thing we need to do is we need to dispel the myth and misunderstanding when it comes to using armor. And a lot of people, even on our side of the aisle, the pro-gun people, when you say something about body armor or bulletproof vest, they're like, oh, what are you, crazy? Or are you paranoid? Or what do you think you're going to do? Or what do you think you're going to be facing? Or what have you? And rather than talk about, feelings, let's talk about reality. Well, the reality of the fact is that a modern body armor, your modern soft body armor and your modern hard body armor, as in plates, is designed to stop or slow down projectiles from pistols, shotguns, and rifles. Now, soft body armor, which is generally made out of Kevlar, although there are a lot of different other materials, but Kevlar is the most popular one. Soft body armor is designed to stop relatively low velocity projectiles, those that come from handguns and shotgun pellets. Your normal soft body armor is not going to stop a 30-30 rifle or a shotgun slug or 223 or 270 or anything like that. Your modern soft body armor is not powerful enough to stop that. And a lot of people say the term bulletproof vest. It's really a misnomer. There's no such thing as a bulletproof vest, because for every vest out there, there is a gun that will penetrate it. It's kind of an arms race, and it has been for the last 30, 40, 50 years. We develop armor, and that's the reason that we developed the Green Tip 5.56. The 62 grain Green Tip has a steel core, and it's called the penetrator round. And they're like, well, what's the deal with that? Well, the reason that the U.S. Army came up with that was to defeat Soviet body armor, so that we could penetrate Soviet body armor. Now, we're not worried so much about the Soviets anymore, but that load is still in the inventory. But I digress. So you've got armor, and you say, well, what is the purpose of armor? Can you kill people with body armor? No. The whole purpose of armor is to defend you, to protect your body, your torso, from having, nasty projectiles enter it. And soft body armor is available for civilians or non-military personnel, non-government personnel in certain states. Now, here's the big asterisk that you guys need to be aware of. If there are certain states and areas and jurisdictions that prohibit non-government people from owning body armor. Now, you might be asking yourself, why? I can't rob a bank using body armor. I can't murder someone using body armor. All body armor is a layer of protection around my body to hopefully keep bullets out of it. Why would the government want me to not have that? Well, that's a great question. And if you live in an area where the local government or the state government or the city government says it's against the law for you to own body armor, you might want to ask yourself, well, whose lives are they concerned with? Are they more concerned with the lives of the criminals and government employees and not really concerned with my life? And what you'll find is in the areas that prohibit citizens from owning body armor are also the same areas that say you can't carry concealed, you can't have pepper spray, you can't have a taser, you can't have a magazine that holds more than 7 or 8 or 9 or some arbitrary amount of ammunition. Same place. Rarely are you going to find an area that says, yeah, you can carry concealed as many rounds as you want, but you're not allowed to have armor or, protective body armor. So before you decide you want to buy armor, you better check, consider where you're living. Are you living in a slave state? Are you currently residing in a slave state that treats you like a peasant, not like a citizen? Are you a second-class citizen where you live? And if you are, and you discover that it is illegal for you to own that, again, it's all about priorities. Do you want to live there or don't you? But let's just say you live in free America, and it is perfectly legal for you to own some type of body armor. So what are you going to do? Well, number one, you need to understand there's 2 types. There's the soft armor that is covert, as in it's meant to be worn underneath clothing. And then there is soft and hard armor with plates that is meant to be worn over or on top of clothing, such as a plate carrier, what's popularly called a plate carrier. Now, if you are a jeweler, if you deal in cash, if your job takes you into an area that you don't feel comfortable being in, wearing soft body armor underneath your clothing may be an option for you, or it may be an extra layer of insurance for you. Now, know this. I've been wearing armor in one form or fashion since 1987 when I became a United States Marine, and we wore your Kevlar flak jackets. And then I became a police officer and I started wearing covert body armor. And then we advanced into the layer system where you wore your soft body armor and then you had hard plates. And now the hard plates they're made out of either a coated steel or a ceramic material. There's lots of different material that they make plates out of. But the reason that they have these plates is that plates are what stop rifle rounds. And high-velocity rounds. The soft armor stops fragments and so forth. The plates are what stop bullets from rifles, shotguns, and what have you. But if you're just somebody who wants to keep it in your house, let's say in case of potential home invasion or burglary or something like that, and you don't really need to be covert, then you don't need to worry about wearing it underneath your clothes. I can tell you this, if you wear armor all day long, as great as the advances in modern body armor are or have been over the last 30 years or so, it's still always uncomfortable. It's still going to make you sweat. If you live in a warm area or an area where it's humid, you're going to be sweating. It's just going to increase your body temperature. That's the way it is. Even here's the thing about body armor. Even in the winter time, it makes you sweat. It just does. It's not comfortable to wear. Now, is it more comfortable than having a bullet enter your body and go through your lungs? Absolutely, it's more comfortable than that. But if you are a homeowner, if you're a citizen, you decide, all right, I'm convinced I want to get some armor. Where can I get it? Now, again, just like some places, some jurisdictions will allow you to own it, some won't. Some companies that manufacture armor won't sell it to anyone other than a government agency. And again, you kind of have to ask yourself, you're like, well, what's the deal with that? Now, I know from a corporate standpoint, what they're going to tell you is, oh, you don't understand the liability involved. If we were to sell body armor to someone and they were to wear our company's body armor and then commit a bank robbery or something, then we would be liable and we would look bad. And you say to those people, well, okay, I got you, but you could apply that same logic to every firearms manufacturer in the United States of America, couldn't you? You know, you could look at Smith & Wesson and or Ruger or Colt or Glock or SIG or whomever and say, well, you don't want to sell guns to non-government people, because what would happen if one of your guns was found at the scene of a crime? Would you be liable? Well, obviously no. If, you know, some crackhead steals a Smith & Wesson pistol and it's found at the scene of a crime, is Smith & Wesson responsible? Are they liable because some crackhead stole one of their guns and used it in a crime? No, of course they're not. And when it comes to armor, or let's say they purchased it. Let's say a crackhead was able to pass the background check and he purchased a Smith & Wesson pistol from a local dealer and he went out and he used it to do bad things. Or whatever, a gangbanger, you name it. Is Smith & Wesson liable? Well, no, of course they're not liable. And as long as they as long as they followed the letter of the law, you know, they're not liable. The same thing goes with armor. That's like saying, well, if we sell this guy armor and then he goes out and uses it, we'll be liable. No, not really. But the fact of the matter is it's dollars and cents. The armor companies make 100 times more money selling their products to government agencies than they ever would to sell to citizens. Well, why is that? I know I'm kind of off track here, but stay with me. The reason it is because whose money do they use? If your local sheriff's department is purchasing armor, whose money are they using to purchase armor? Is it the individual deputy's salary money that's being used to purchase the armor? Well, no, of course it's not. It's tax money. It's taxpayer money that's purchasing the armor. That's what's buying it. And so if the vests are $595 a piece, well, they budget it out of the taxpayers' money and they buy the vests and they issue them out to all the officers. What they know, what these companies know, is that the individual citizen, very few individual citizens are going to pony up $595 a piece and buy armor. So they really aren't so much worried about offending you. They are way more worried about offending, you know, a police agency or a government agency, because that's where their bread and butter is. But right off the top of my head, I know that there is a company that will sell armor to all good guys, whether they're police or military or the citizen, and that's the U.S. Palm. U.S. Palm Corporation. I'm going to go ahead and look them up, and we'll come up with their address. We'll put a link for you. But U.S. Palm, they make plate carriers. They make overt, that's not covert, overt plate carriers and light body armor carriers. They make a lot of different varieties. And the one that I have, actually, it just has your standard MOLLE strapping. Now, how do I use this? The plate carrier just drapes over the top of your body. And this is one of those things where it's hard to talk about with the radio, but you guys can look on their website. U.S. Palm will sell it to certified citizens and good guys, just like you and me. And the great thing about the MOLLE straps is what you can do with that armor is you can modify it however you want. You can attach a pistol holster to it. You can attach, what I've got on mine is I have a pistol holster. I've got a tourniquet. I've got a flashlight, and they're all attached to the vest. So let's say it's the middle of the night, it's 2:30 in the morning, the dogs start going bananas. They're barking and freaking out. And I spring up out of bed and I look out my window and there's a truck at the end of my driveway. Why is there a truck in my driveway at 2:30 in the morning? Probably not a good thing. Now, it might be innocent, but then again, it might be a couple of dudes that are looking to rob me. So what do? I walk over to the door where I have a big hook. My vest is hanging there. I drop it over my head, strap it down, grab the pistol and the flashlight, and I go investigate. It takes maybe 10 seconds total to walk over, grab it, drop it over the top of my body, cinch it up, and drive on. And so what do I have there? I have my pistol, I have my light, I have my tourniquet just in case. God help me. I hope I don't need that. And I've got the armor. Now let's talk about armor. Let's talk about, well, I know you guys out there, you're listening to this, and if you bring it up at the local shooting range or your gun club or whatever, half of the guys will make fun of you. Or like, what do you think you're going to do? Go fight a war? What are you expecting? What kind of trouble are you expecting? Well, if a bad person breaks into your house and has a gun, you understand that they can put bullets into your body, right? They have the ability to shoot you. Why do police officers wear body armor? Do police officers wear body armor? And I'm talking about your average deputy, patrolman, guy who's out writing parking tickets or speeding tickets or whatever, or investigating barking dog calls or, what have you. Why is he wearing armor? Is it because he's out looking to fight a war? He's going to go find bad guys and engage them and kill them, right? That's why he's wearing the armor. No. The police officer is wearing the armor not because he wants to get into a gunfight, but because he knows it's a potential. He knows it might happen. They understand that, and that is an extra layer of defense. It's simply insurance. That's all it is. You don't want to be shot in armor. It's not fun. It will stop the bullet, but it's still going to hurt. It's not going to feel good, but it's better than having, a punctured lung or a punctured aorta. So the same goes for the citizen. And when people tell you, wow, I know police need it because why? Well, because they have to deal with criminals. Dude, you don't think citizens have to deal with criminals? You don't think citizens have to worry about criminals breaking into their home, raping their wives, robbing them? Of course they do. Pay attention to the news. You'll see it all the time. When I wrote the article for Shooting Illustrated, I wrote that article, and right after I had received the assignment, I found a news story. And I believe it was in Michigan, but I might be wrong. It's been several months. But it was a situation where a homeowner, a young man and wife, and they had like an infant child. In the middle of the night, some gangbangers decided that they were going to rob them, right? So 3 gangbangers pull up, go up the front door, boot the door, smash it in. Husband grabs a pistol, goes to stop the bad people. Wife grabs the infant and runs and hides, and he shoots it out with the bad guys. Well, he exchanges gunfire with them. He hits 1 or 2 of them, but they retreat and they decide, this isn't any fun because this guy has a gun. But in the interim, while they were exchanging gunfire, the homeowner was shot. And he was shot through the torso, and he died at the hospital after being transported. Now, if he would have had the option of owning some type of armor or putting it on, could he be alive today? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is good guys bleed too. Owning a firearm does not provide a cone of invincibility around you. I've got a gun in my hand, so it's going to ward off all incoming bullets. No, it doesn't work like that. But what do people do? They go through this mystical fantasy of my gunfight in their minds. People buy guns, they own firearms, and they generate this, well, if I ever have to get in defend myself with a gun, and they imagine how it's going to go down. And they blaze away with their Glock or SIG or XD or whatever, and all the bad guys are smoked, and they're standing in a pile of brass, unscathed, without a scratch on them, and they're good to go. Well, yeah, that might happen, but then again, it might not. Gunfights are vicious, fast occurring, instances. It's going to be fast. It's going to be violent. It's going to be at close range. That's what's going to happen. And if you can put something between yourself and the bad guy's gun to stop the bullets from going in you, yay team. I have another friend who is a living good guy. He was in a similar situation many years ago. 2 druggies, broke into his house, and he heard him, and he grabbed his pistol, and he went, as he was going down the stairs, they saw him and exchanged gunfire. And fortunately, his aim was a little bit more true than the bad guy, and the lead bad guy caught a bullet in the cranium and expired on the scene. Go team. But our hero, our good guy, took a bullet through his upper chest cavity and was bleeding out. He's a good guy. He won his gunfight, but guess what? He's still bleeding, and that can happen. Now, you might be thinking, dude, I'm not spending no $300, $400, $500 on armor. That's crazy talk. That's way too much. I'm not going to do it. You know what? Drive on. Dude, you don't have to. But the question is, can I do it? If I can, if I have the means, I have the disposable income, can I and should I? One of my writing mentors, Massad Ayub, I've been reading Massad's articles for, since I started reading gun magazines 20, 30 years ago. And one of the things that Massad always recommended is he had a vest, and he had a covert vest, but he kind of had hooked it up so that he had a flashlight attached to it and, a mobile phone and stuff like that. And he kept it by the bedside so that if he ever had to wake up in the middle of the night because there was a broken window or the dogs are barking or something's going on, he could just drop the vest over the top of his body and go. And that's exactly what I've got, the setup I have with my U.S. Palm carrier. Now, I do believe that it is prudent for you to have body armor. What you're going to have to decide is, A, am I just going to keep it, for emergencies, or am I going to wear it under my clothes because I have a job or a career that takes me into bad areas? That's up to you. But step number one is find out if it's legal for you to own armor where you live. Step number two, get on the computer and do some research. The first place you can go if you want to is you can go to US Palm. And like I said, we'll put the link up for you. Jared will put that link up. You can check out their wares. Now, and you'll find as you do research that there are some people that will sell you armor and some companies won't. Hey, if they won't, then drive on and go somewhere else. But that was a great question, Cameron. I think a lot of people were wondering about it or were curious about it, and that is the name of that game. Now, don't forget, a lot of you guys, you send us notes and you say, hey, I listened to the show. I wish you would talk about this, or I wish you would, had this available. And a lot of times when we get these questions, I had kind of scratch my head and say, well, if you did a little more research, you'd know that on studentofthegun.com, that either in the current episode of the show or in the archives page, we address that very subject that you might have been asking me about. It's free. It costs you literally nothing. And if you're listening to this show right now, I know that you have access to the internet because that's how you're listening to it. So there's no reason for you not to go over to studentofthegun.com and check out the show. We have the weekly articles are up there. I may have addressed it. Now, sometimes I might not have, like for instance, the armor we hadn't, and I've been kind of sitting on this one since I wrote that article for Shooting Illustrated. I knew that I wanted to put it in Student of the Gun. And actually during the new season, we've got a new season coming up. Don't forget about that new television season. We are going to, feature Citizen armor, and we're going to show you that U.S. Palm plate carrier and so forth. That's coming up in the season up in the future. As far as questions about concealed carry or firearms safety or basic firearms use, things of that nature, there's a lot of material available to you at studentofthegun.com or at studentofthegungear.com. The Student of the Gun book, our Armed Living DVD. A lot of folks ask, well, can I do this? Can I do that? What is my liability? What's my responsibility as a concealed carry, permit holder? When can I shoot? When am I allowed to shoot? And a lot of those things are dealt with in detail in the Armed Living DVD. So you can check that out. Now, speaking of carrying guns, I've got to deal with, I've got a subject that I'm going to talk about, and it kind of gets my blood pressure up, but hey, that's just the breaks. Now, as a lot of you may know, if you've been watching the news or if you live in the South, or even if you haven't, if you're a concealed carry kind of person or you're a pro-gun person, that Mississippi, the state of Mississippi, was all set to become an open carry state. And we talked about it on the Student of the Gun homeroom a little bit. And this is what happened. This is what shook out. Mississippi has had a shall issue concealed carry permit system for quite a while now. It's not that big. It's not news breaking or anything like that. It's been in the works for a long time. Now, the Mississippi State Constitution says that the citizens, it pretty much mirrors the Second Amendment, but it says the citizens have the right to possess and bear arms and so forth. But in the Constitution, it says that the state may regulate concealed carry. So many years ago, what the legislature did, is they passed a concealed carry law, a provision so that citizens of the state can get a concealed carry permit. Now, Mississippi only issues permits to citizens of the state. They do not issue any out-of-state permits. But it's a pretty simple system. I've been through the system. I've got my permit. I did all the crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's and so forth, and it wasn't that hard. And because it is a shall issue permit system, unless they can come up with an affirmative reason not to give it to you, felony convictions or mental incompetence or something like that, they have to do it, and they have to do it within a certain period of time. I believe I got my permit. I believe it was just under 60 days from the time that I applied and the time I received it, which really isn't that bad as far as dealing with the state and the state's bureaucracy. But what they've been dealing with for the last several years was some kind of weird verbiage that was in the original concealed carry law. In the original concealed carry permit law, it said that the definition of concealed carry was something like fully or partially concealed. And the word partially concealed was in the law. And so people are like, well, hang on a second. What does that mean? Does that mean if my pistol is in a holster on my hip and you can only see the grip stocks and the back portion of it, does that make it concealed? Or does it have to be 100% concealed from view by anyone? What does that mean? Does it mean that it's illegal for it to be partially concealed or what? And so what this last year, the legislature, they went and they re-examined the law. And the attorney general's like, look, we need to clean this up. We need to clean up the language of the bill so that it's not arbitrary. And you had law enforcement officers are like, okay, if I bust this guy because he's got a gun, I see he's got a gun, and he says, well, hang on. The law says that it can be partially concealed. I have a concealed carry permit. I'm good. And you're like, well, what does that mean? And, of course, the state constitution of Mississippi says that the citizen has the right to keep and bear arms. And now bear doesn't mean keep it in your safe. That's something that a lot of folks think, a lot of these guys that are not, they don't carry, they don't think people should, or, they're like, well, I don't see what the big deal is. I can own guns. We all know those people. We all know the people that think that owning a firearm means to keep and bear. No, owning a firearm means to keep. It's in your safe at home. Okay, that's half of it. To bear arms means to have it on your person, to have control of it on your person. That's what bear arms means, to bear. If you bear the standard of your country, you are, carrying the standard bearer. Go back to your, English, 6th grade English. But a lot of guys don't understand that. And so what they did in Mississippi was actually not that big of a deal. People are having freaking kittens and cows right now, depending on what your favorite phraseology is there, about this new law. When they're like, oh, it's this new open carry law. It's not. What they did is they just cleaned up the arbitrary verbiage in the legislation, sent it through, the legislative session. They voted on it. They voted, they're like, yep, okay, we approve the new verbiage. We approve that. And they sent it up to the governor. The governor's like, yeah, this is what it needs to be. He signs it. And they said this, in like all laws, rarely do laws go in effect the day that they're signed. Usually they go in effect at a certain date. They're like, okay, blah, blah, blah. Well, the date for this was July 1st. No big deal, right? Well, you know how anti-gun people are. Anti-gun people who are afraid of firearms and who do not want citizens to own or have firearms started panicking. Oh, well, the Mississippi people are going to be able to carry guns. Mississippi people are already carrying guns. Well, what happened was this activist district attorney from Hinds. I live in Mississippi, and I'm not sure if Hinds is properly pronounced Heinz or Hins?
I think it's Heinz, but I may be wrong. That happens every once in a while.
Okay, well, regardless, here's what I know. Here's who I know lives in Hinds County. A couple of activist pieces of, I got to keep this PG, of human waste. Okay. The Hinds County District Attorney, don't write me letters if I pronounce it wrong. I'll fix myself later. Robert Schuler Smith. Really? Does he have 3 names? Robert Schuler Smith. All right. What do you know when someone has 3 names? What do you instantly know? They're liberal. Who else do you know uses 3 names besides Hollywood actors and liberals? No one, right? Okay. So Robert Schuler Smith, I don't know if it's hyphenated because he took his wife's name. That could be. I'm not sure. We'll investigate that later. But he requested that the existing law that had been corrected and reworded, I suppose they put a new number on it, and voted on by the legislature, signed by the governor, he puts in a request that the law be blocked. Well, first of all, he's a district attorney. Doesn't he work for the state? Last time I checked, a district attorney is an employee of the government, right? He's a government employee. Why is a government employee arguing with the state? Why is the state arguing with the state? Why does he feel the need to get involved in this? What is his dog in the fight here? Well, could it be because he's carrying the water of anti-gun hippies? Could that be? So this guy, he puts in a request that the laws be blocked. Well, the reason he put this request in was because he knows that he has one of his homies on the bench up there in Hinds County. Okay, the Hinds County Circuit Judge Winston Kidd ruled this week that the law was vague, and he put an injunction on it. Now, stop the presses here. This guy is a circuit court judge, not a Mississippi Supreme Court judge. A circuit court judge in Hinds County, which is where Jackson is. That's the capital of the state. And, well, it said it was vague and an injunction needed to prevent, this is his verbiage, that the injunction was needed to prevent irreparable harm. What? Yeah. According to this judge, Winston Kidd, now you say, well, the district attorney he requested that the law be blocked, so the judge had to do it. The judge didn't have to do it. Judges don't have to do anything. That's what makes them judges. But he decided, well, these guys are on the same team, and don't think they didn't know it. Don't think that they aren't collaborating. Don't be naive and say, oh, it's just a coincidence that the county district attorney requested this law be blocked and the district judge does it. It's not a coincidence. Okay. So, right now, and of course they did this on the 30th of June, the day before the law was supposed to go into effect. Well, you have the 1st of July, and what do you have right after the 1st? You have the 4th, which is a federal holiday, and guess what? Everybody takes a break. All your public servants and your government people, they take that off. So right now, this is hanging in the balance. And the latest story, though, is the Attorney General of the state of Mississippi, Jim Hood, has asked the Mississippi State Supreme Court to throw out the judge's order that blocked the law and to move it forward. Now, here's what you need to know. You need to know, number one, Mississippi has had a concealed carry permit system in place for a long time. Mississippi people carry guns. Number two, that the state of Mississippi has a very broad and generous castle doctrine. The castle doctrine in Mississippi applies not just to your home. It applies to your place of business. It applies to your vehicle. It applies to places that you are lawfully allowed to occupy. Yes, in Mississippi, you can have a loaded gun in your car unconcealed, and you don't need a permit because that's an extension of your castle. This isn't new. This has been in place for years and years and years. So all this tempest in a teapot stuff, these anti-gun people are like, oh, it's going to be the Wild West, and people are going to be shooting each other on the street corners, and we can't allow citizens to carry guns. Hey, citizens are already carrying guns. I thought I would bring that up for you guys and talk about it on this week's show. But as of right now, we're waiting for the state Supreme Court to weigh in, and hopefully by next time we come to the microphone to talk to you guys, that this will already have been shaken out and taken care of. Now, that ends. We're going to wrap up the part 1 of Student of the Gun this week. I know I was a little bit long-winded, but I tell you what, we've got a bunch more coming up in part 2. I'm going to address my good friends in the People's Republic of California. We're going to talk about some no-shoot situations because we missed those last week. We just ran out of time. I know we've expanded to 2 hours, but we still ran out of time. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about training versus practice and what really is the difference.